Question 1, why is it important to encourage students to take creative risk in the classroom? What are some ways teachers foster creativity in their students in the art center, in the music and dance center? I think it's important to encourage students to take creative risk in the classroom because it builds on their social emotional skills, it builds on their self-esteem. It goes hand in hand with cognitive thinking, critical thinking. Some ways that you can foster creativity in the art center is to offer many different materials from different places, things that are different textures, so that they can be completely open with their creativity and they're not limited, so it doesn't look like cookie cutter art. When it comes to the music and the dance center, you can allow them to express themselves through their music, through the way they dance. Then I'm going to go ahead and go into the next question, just because I think it goes right with it. How can children engage, or how can children's engagement in the Dramatic Play Center, Visual Arts Center, or Music and Dance Center increase critical thinking skills? I think it's very similar to what I just said, that these centers allow the children to express themselves. It allows them to play out things from their lives at home. It allows us to look in and see how they are connecting home to school. You're able to see and listen to what they have picked up and learned from you in these centers. And again, it allows them to just have open creativeness with whatever it is that they want to do in these centers.
I agree with Tessa. When it comes to children taking risks with being creative, it does encourage them, build up their self-esteem, and it also helps their social emotions. As far as if other friends are in the area, they're learning how to share. They're learning to take turns. Balance their rights against somebody else's, because they might want to use something while somebody else is using it. So it helps to build their interaction skills with their other friends. To encourage it, like she said, just have a variety of materials and just step back and let them do what they want to do. So many times teachers, I remember I was doing something, I had my kids doing something, and what I had pictured in my head was not what they were doing. And I was like, but, and then I was like, nope, just be quiet, Miss Carmen, let them do whatever they want to do. It's theirs. Just, let them use whatever it is their work. They're proud of it. As long as they're proud of it and they like it, it's fine. And in the music area, do the same thing. Make sure that the instruments are available. Let them walk around and play the various instruments. If it's something they don't know how to do, demonstrate it. You could have a music, or have a music day. Well, the whole day is just music all day long, if that's what they want to do. And as far as the second question, as far as the critical thinking skills in those areas, it helps them to problem solve. Because again, they're learning how to figure out what they're doing, how they can do it, their way. And also, okay, if my friend wants to do it wants to use this at the same time that I'm using it, again, how are we gonna work this out? So those are some of the skills they learn from doing those things.
Carmelita, I too have a problem with, you don't have a problem, but I do with, I get something in my head and I picture the activity, or I picture what I want it to look like. And then when they don't, I literally told my aide and my assistant, like, you guys need to tell me, stop, because just because it's not the way that I'm looking, the children are enjoying the activity, but in their own way. So I think that you're right, giving them that independence, still having structure and limits, like boundaries, right? But at the same time, letting them do things in their own way can help foster the creativity. And it kind of ties into with the video Professor Wen showed us last week, when she said about creativity being drastically lower. It's like, we need to boost up these skills now while we can, because with tablets, with technology, with all of that taking over, kids are starting to creatively think less and less. So I think, yeah, just making sure that we are open to all ideas and we're open for all of this is good. Visual arts, dance center. Okay, and then the reason why dramatic play, visual arts, and music dance increase critical thinking skills is because it's their own. There's no set rules on how to dress in the dramatic area. There's no set rules on how to play the tambourine, right? You can show them, but they make it their own. And I think that the creativity comes out because it really goes hand in hand with them being their own person and establishing their own independence of things.
I agree with all three of you. I think that it's so important to encourage them to take creative risks because you're trying to embrace this idea of being you. Like individuality is everything. You don't want them to feel like if they're different, they don't fit in X, Y, and Z. So absolutely take all the creative risks. And it does promote on all those things that you guys mentioned, critical thinking skills, cognitive skills, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think you guys pinned it right there. So yeah.
I'll go next. I agree with what everybody said. I also think it's important to encourage creative risks in a classroom because it does, this sounds terrible, but it can set a child up to fail. And I think kids so young need a chance to be like, oh, like this happened because like I did this creatively, but this is what happened. And I do it all the time, even something small. Like when I think of like setting kids up to fail, I think of like terrible things, like like standardized tests. But when I think in my own classroom, like when we do like painting, like I give the kids the paint and I let them like go off like into their own like world. Like granted, sometimes I do have like actual projects for them to do. And even in their projects, like I don't give them a lot of like information. I just tell them like, this is what you're going to paint. Here's the example, what it looks like, go for it. And sometimes when kids paint, they use too much, rips a hole right through your paper. And it shows them like, that's amazing. Like you took that, like you were creative. You took that risk to put more and more paint on your paper. And that's what happens, which I think it helps. I think Tessa said they're social emotional because it shows them that they can fail, but it's okay to fail. We'll just give you a new piece of paper. How can children's dramatic engagement play center visual arts? Sorry, my dogs are so loud.
Do you want me to go next? Okay. So everyone, each one of you said creativity. I was reading one day and it stuck with me that creativity literally lights up the brain. And why should we encourage kids to take creative risks is because it fosters independence, it fosters the problem solving skills. It helps children develop their cognitive skills, critical thinking. They start making connections between two things. Their brain just lights up. As I read, it just felt so true because I've seen children being creative in the class and how much they're engaged and how much we see their skills that we have not seen in other things. And how can we give them opportunity in those centers, like what were the centers we were talking about? Art center, music center. I think with art, giving them just the materials, like we wanted them to paint sunflowers and we gave them yellow paint and brown paint and I think green paint for leaves. And everybody had their own visual representation of a sunflower, and each one of them was beautiful. Every child was creative the way they wanted their sunflower to look. And I guess that was the most beautiful drawings I've ever seen. And in music too, like music can be can bring out so much out of a child. Have them do their dance steps, have them do their moves, have them sing, and we can get so much out of a child. And for dramatic center and everything, I would say just let them loose, give them materials, give them just open-ended things, and let them think, what do they want to do? What do they want to make in this dramatic center? So I think creativity can go a long way if we let children be creative. Who's next? Is everybody done?
No, I didn't go yet. Sorry. Yes, I agree. I feel like it's important to take creative risks in the classroom just because I see you laughing. Just because it gets the kids to think, or it gets the teachers to learn about the students, and it helps the students, think and be creative in their own ways. And I feel like when you allow the students to be creative, the teacher gets to learn about what this child is actually feeling or thinking about, and then foster ways to create creativity in students in arts, music, and dance centers. I feel like just having open activities, letting the kids be more independent and explore. Like, I know they always say don't do what is it? It's like process art. You want to do like the art and just let the kid, so you don't want the child to do every single art project the same. You want the child to do something different and not to follow like the same rubric, so they could kind of do their own thing. And I would say in like music and dance, the same thing, like maybe don't always have the same, dance the same way, kind of let the kids do what like they feel or what they want to do. That way you're letting their creativity explore and they're not like their friends. Because I feel like a lot of times kids will do something that someone else is doing. They're like, oh, well, like so-and-so is doing this, so like they want to do that as well. And I think it's good to just let kids, do their own thing, and they learn to kind of be individualized. And then to engagement in the centers and critical thinking. I feel like it just provides them opportunities to play, and then it could provide the child to ask open-ended questions, and then kind of just have them think about things in like a different way. I feel like having energy centers is always good for a child, because like that's what we learn. Children learn through play. And then it just gets them, to think about other things differently and ask those open-ended questions and explore things they're not used to.